Good day to you all, hunters, and today we shall be hunting the Lunar Empress herself, the Lunastra. That was a strange way to describe it. However, today we shall be hunting, again, the Lunar Empress. And Lunastra fucking sucks. Without a shadow of a doubt, she may be third worst monster in the entire game. Maybe second, it's debatable. That either goes to Juratotus or Lunastra herself. But let's start off this correctly by saying the things that everybody wants to hear. Lunastra sucks! She sucks so unbelievably much. I don't know a single player that's like, Lunastra is amazing. She has terrible moves, a lot of AoE, it's terrible to deal with, her hitboxes are insane. You just never have fun while fighting a Lunastra. Or Supernova kills at least one person in your party every time, like every time. You never have a fun time fighting a Lunastra. Never, 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 never. She's conceptually a great idea. She's a mate to Lunastra, yeah. So lore-wise, she's okay too. I love some of the patterns of Lunastra where, since she represents the moon and Teostra represents the sun, Lunastra has a couple of moves where she does crescent shapes attack, like the moon. That's quite good. I like that. I like the blue. Yeah, that's about everything I like about her. I'm not a big fan of the design. I'm not a big fan of anything that's coming around. And when fighting her, you get a lot of bullshit. And when I mean a lot of bullshit, I mean a fuck ton of bullshit. There's a lot of hitboxes that just straight up don't make any sense to me. There's a lot of stuff where I feel like everything you throw at her goes down the drain. It's not efficient. And we'll talk about math when we'll talk about math. And again, I'm not a big fan of the Chimera design. I've never been. I always thought that the Astra looked off, especially for a monster. But Lunastra just really amplifies this for me. Maybe it's because she doesn't have as big of a main. But I have plenty of reason to hate her. In fact, here's one coming right now. Isn't that a whole lot of bullshit, eh? So while we're off doing another hunt, because we've already lost anyway, let's talk a little bit about math and hit zone value, which is another reason why I don't like Lunastra, and nor should you. So, here's the tab on screen right now. Don't worry, we'll get used to this tab. You'll know especially what it is about. So, hit zone value, if nobody knows, well, we're talking about math. Hit zone values are all about what is the efficiency of your weapon hitting certain parts. So, the higher the number is to 100, the more the value gets lessened by the multiplier, which how it works, if a hit zone value has a hit zone value of 1, that means that your attack that you're doing, the motion value would be multiplied by 0.01. If the monster has a hit zone value of 100, then that means that the attack that you're dealing, the motion value of your attack, will be multiplied by 1.00. That's how math works when it comes to hit zone value. There's a lot of buffs to go into that, like true damage and stuff, but it's a little bit too complicated to go in, so let's keep it simple, yeah? So when you see something where she has an average of 34, that means that most of your attacks that will land on generally the same part, generally on all over a body, will have a motion value of 0.34, which is pretty bad. Most monsters will have above 40 in most cases. Lunastra is a DLC monster, so she came out at a time where they wanted to add a lot of difficulty to base monsters, because especially base world, they didn't feel like most monsters were actually hard to fight. And they had to come in with like tempered version or arc tempered version, which we'll never get to in this series, fortunately for me. God damn, I fucking hate the arc tempered. That's another problem in its entirety though. So, the head, well, I'm talking about several weapons especially. The head is most likely one of the only places where you will ever have good damage numbers on her at all time. 40 is enough to get orange numbers. 45 will begin to apply weakness exploit. And yeah, that's about the extent of it. That's about the only place where you can actively hit and deal a decent amount of damage, and that is unfortunate. Yes, you can see here that we have higher number on the wings and the tail, specifically for 7 weapon. There's just one problem. Going for the tail is almost impossible, especially if you have excruciating short range, such as dual blades, which is recommended, by the way. The closer you are to Lunastra, the safer you are. But if you have a short range weapon, then you cannot go for the tail, because that tail stay up a lot, and it becomes very, very annoying to go through. Also, the wings, 55. This is a problem here where if you go for the wings, you lose out on potentially huge amount of damage. Because, or a breaking part, which is kind of efficient too. There's no way you can go for the wings unless the monster is already like limping on the ground. So the time you have to break something is significantly lessened just by doing that to begin with. And that's already kind of super bad. So the only time where you can actually hit the wings is when she's down, and when she's down, if you hit the wings, and that means you cannot cut, you don't go time for trying to cut the tail or trying to break the head, which the heads only break when she's below 25% health and has already taken a huge amount of damage. And also, she loves to stand in her fire pits. Oh my god. The main reason why people dislike Lunastra is not only because of her shit hit zone values, it's also because of her hitboxes. So, her hit zone values are nigh undoable to go with, because you only get great numbers unless you go for the head, and you deal pitiful amount of damage to everything except the wings and the tail with several weapons. If you're going for blunt, you're already going for the head, so we already have kind of a decent hit zone value, but that's about the only thing you get with a blunt weapon. If you're going for shot, then it's either head or wings or tail. Tail is good enough, but trying to hit a tail with a ranged weapon when she constantly is moving that thing about is super hard. And just try and go for the tail or something like that. It's insane. Like, don't fucking do it. She's the worst. Everybody hates Lunastra, like, without a shadow of a doubt. There's no reason why you shouldn't hate her. She has everything going against it. Like I said, hit zone values are shit. Not only that, if you take into consideration our hitboxes, she is quite infamous for her tail swipes, for being excruciating to go around, and I mean excruciating in the most perfect scenarios. Everybody fucking hates her bloody reach with that tail. It's disgusting, to say the least. Absolutely disgusting. A lot of her attacks just don't allow for a lot of circumventing. You need to have excruciating amounts of positioning. Speedrunners hate her, casual players hate her. Like, you have... I would genuinely be impressed if I find somebody in the viewership that's like, Lunastra is actually a fun monster to fight. And they think of it genuinely. I'd be extremely impressed if anybody comes even close to saying this to me with a straight face. Then again, you could say the same about Kushala de Aura, but it truly feels like Lunastra's difficulty is way more artificial than it is done naturally within the world, and that is a crying shame, because she theoretically can have a lot of good things going on about it. First of all, it's unfortunate that we will not be able to see it in this episode in particular, but she has a special turf war, quote unquote, with her mate Teostra, where she doesn't actually fight Teostra, she bonds with it, creating like a huge supernova. I mean, this honestly is both unique to them and is incredibly cool when it comes to a little bit of personality about Teostra and Lunastra, which I never thought he had a great amount of chemistry to begin with. Well, a lot of personality to begin with. I always thought Teostra was just fire monster chimera, which is kind of an argument of like a lot of what I think a fire monster should be, which is unfortunate because a lot of monsters don't have that problem in Monster Hunter to begin with, just like basic. But yeah, there's a lot of things where I'm just like, why would they think that's just a good idea to begin with? So she has a really cool like bonding with Yosua. That's really cool. I will say conceptually the supernova is actually kind of awesome. Like the move's kind of awesome. It's just a shame that it's executed so poorly. And again, we won't see it in this recording. Supernova kills everybody, mate. She goes into the air and she explodes just like a Teostra. I think the initial explosion doesn't deal as much damage, but what's gonna kill you, and if you need to bring anything into a Lunastra fight, especially if you're not used to it, is gonna be windproof. Windproof will be your best ally, and I believe you need windproof level 5. You may correct me on this one. I think you can negate some of the moves with windproof level 3, but windproof level 5 will be your best ally during this fight in particular. Her supernovas is lingering, so she deals initial damage just like Teostra, but instead of just being like an activation box of like a couple of frames, it's a move that lasts seconds at a time. Seconds at a time. It's actually probably the most dangerous super attack in the entire game, perhaps even more than Sapphire of the Emperor, because in game it's absolutely devastating to the hunt. There's nothing to hide behind. You will take damage no matter what, and the only way to actively like evade the move is if your weapon was shielded, or you're in a position where you can fast shield your weapon. Yeah, you Superman dive 3 times in a row by mashing the roll button, and you may have a shot at not taking damage for supernova. It's absolute bonkers how ballsy it is for them to put in such a bullshit move in this entire video game. Like, a lot of people say it's complete bull. It's because it is. Nobody likes it. Absolutely no fucking body likes it. Like, that's my recommendation for dealing with the supernova. Just Superman dive. And also, our supernova comes out quick. It comes out super quick. I think every other supernovas in the entire game, like seeing Basil Geese, Kamikaze Bomb, and all of those, they come out like way slower than this one. It really feels like the supernova comes out too quick for the amount of damage and problem that you have to deal with a hunt. Then again, she is probably one of the most dangerous base Elder Dragon in the entire game, so if you like a good challenge, you can definitely go for Lunastra. I just say that she isn't what I would call a good challenge. She feels too artificial of a challenge for me to even care about that. Which is unfortunate, because again, I love the idea of Lunastra. I don't like her design. And maybe this is just because of the fact that I don't like most updated models or design aspects of older monsters, which is a thing that I really felt, especially in Iceborne. Well, a lot of things. We'll get to Iceborne eventually, but I truly did feel like most of the quote-unquote updated designs for some of the monsters here fell apart. And yeah, to me, Chimera stuff like the Teostra and Lunastra just don't scale well the farther we go into the franchise, especially compared to more quote-unquote realistic monster design like the Tobi Kadachi or the Legiana, which they feel like much more realized creature than just monsters of legend. And then again, maybe it's just a carryover trait from the fact that they're Elder Dragons, and not specifically like they're disrupting the ecology essentially, which maybe that's a factor of it. And I would love to know some of your ideas in the comments about what you think about just general Elder Dragon stuff and shtick. But an hour later, I'm throwing in the towel. We'll see you all.